or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Aberdeem, and this is A Thousand Dreams Plus One. This is the talk show of A Thousand Dreams. What is A Thousand Dreams? A Thousand Dreams is a portal for dreams, dreamers, and dreaming, obviously, all around the world. And we have our most important project really is an app that is an app that will help us document, analyze the data of our dreams, not necessarily interpreting them, because in truth, we want you to have the tools for you to interpret your own dreams. That's our goal. So this app is going to help us to document the dreams, analyze the data, and share them with the world. So it's going to be kind of a social network for dreams. So we have the basis or the prototype of the app, so we're working on having it ready. And there are some other things that we have also to help you reconnect or connect to your dreams or to derive wisdom out of your dreams. The first thing that we have is the Dreamer Quiz. It is a quiz, it is a fun quiz just for you to understand the dreamer that you are, the type of dreamer you are. It is not a science, and we are every profile, but it is a fun way to understand how to position yourself in the dream world. And how was the Dreamer Quiz built? It was built with the Dreaming Landscapes. That's a document, because the way to do a profile is to know where do you go in the dreaming landscapes, how do you connect to the dreaming landscapes, and what you dream about, or to, so to speak, what you do in those dreaming landscapes. So there is, apart from the dreaming landscapes as a document, there is the dreaming profiles that explains the different ways in which we connect to the dreaming landscapes. So the first two programs of A Thousand Dreams Plus One, the first one was a pilot program. The name was The Gift of Dreaming. It was precisely about that dreaming is such a gift, because you derive your wisdom is in your dreams. You are the master of your dreaming domains. But the second program, we started analyzing the different ways in which we connect to the dreaming landscapes. So I'm going to do the synthesis once again, because our guest today has a very different way to connect to the dreaming landscapes. It's unique. So quickly, well, the first way is the normal way to remember dreams, is that you fall asleep and then you remember dreams when you wake up, or you remember your adventures in dreaming when you wake up. The second most common way is you go to sleep and then you wake up within the dream state. And it's fascinating. Like, whoa, I'm awake within the dreaming, with my dream state. The third way is to go into dreaming landscapes, but being conscious. So from your waking state, you go into these ethereal landscapes, and you can travel in these worlds. And of course, there is daydreaming. It's like being in different dimensions, but in a waking state, but so to speak, from here, from this point of presence. But this other unique way to connect to the dreaming landscapes is what we are going to explore now, and the name is dream hacking. Dream hacking, I just came up with the idea of calling it dream hacking, because it is about going into the dreaming landscapes, being conscious with the mind that is not functioning anymore, but not in your waking state, in your dreaming state. So we're going to talk about this very subtle difference, and I find this exploration fascinating. So this our guest today is a very special guest to me. She's part of my life, and she's so important. Her name is Vili Aguirre, Vili Aguirre, and please, hello,
So,
Vili.
yeah, you're a very important part of my life too, and I'm so happy to be here.
So many, many thanks. Okay, just to tell the story quickly to our audience, Billy and I met many years ago, 30 or more than 30?
Well, or more, kind of 30-ish. Yeah, 1998 when we just started college together. Yeah,
Yeah, and we studied communication, of course. Why not?
yes.
Because
Well, this is a bigger topic than, I didn't think communication was so important until now. I'm really understanding the frame. It's really, I mean, it's such an important thing to the world right now to learn to communicate because it's not about talking or listening, just it's so many things. So, yes, we were in the right track ever since.
oh yes, oh yes. Well, it's been truthfully, it's been my privilege to witness how this master has unfolded in the world to the benefit of everybody that all of us that are near really.
Thank you, friend. I appreciate that. I'm blushing.
So, well, the thing is, Billy, she has a master in translation in a very prestigious school in Mexico, but it is also about handling language. So she went to the U.S. To work in Crimson Circle, and you can expand or elaborate on the experience. The thing is that being there, she was invited by Adamus, channeled by Geoffrey Hoppe, to channel Isis again. And that's the thing. If I, well, maybe you want to tell that part of the story.
Well, it's fine. It's I was invited to Channel Isis, and I could remember ever since. It was a surprise to be asked that way, but the truth is that I had always had that communication. So finally, kind of that message helped me to give it a frame, to understand that it was not just thinking, because I had these significant conversations in my head, but I thought that everybody had them, that it was normal because it had something that was going on since I was a girl. So yes, and it turns out now that I've learned a lot more about me and my relationship with Isis in general, when we're talking Isis, we're talking this not necessarily the Egyptian goddess, or it's just this consciousness of the feminine, of the divine feminine. And I learned, in more recent years after I started doing this and connecting with the Crimson Circle and other things, that I was a channel for Isis in Atlantis a long time ago, especially in those times when there was a Suratimu and the fall of Atlantis. So it's a story that is full with, well, the complexities of all the stories that we have brought forward across all our times here on Earth, different lifetimes. So yes, it's amazing that now it's kind of, as we close the circles, I'm coming back and I'm channeling Isis again.
That's fantastic. The story of that story of Atlantis is fascinating. Is something I would like to commit to share with everybody because we have someone that has it recorded and it's a beautiful piece of literature, if not for anything else. But that is, it's heartbreaking those final episodes of Atlantis, and to say that Adamus invited you to channel ISIS is a manner of speaking because really you were the last known channeler for ISIS back then. Like it is
Back then. But getting that message from Adamus actually gave it some degree of uncontestability. There
exactly.
was I couldn't challenge it. It was like I knew it was happening, but then it really started getting or collecting a different type of energy to it because it became very real. Getting the message that way and that confirmation just kind of opened the door for so many other things.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's fascinating. That story is in the annals of our collective history, and I hope we can share it soon enough because
Yeah, but not this time because now we're here to talk about dreams,
yeah,
but of course, uh, the most worthy way to actually talk about anything is just telling stories. Because whenever you try to make something fixed and very real, then it doesn't match reality, actually. It appears to be fixed, and then you have to prove it, and then you have to create like a whole justification. And really, for most of our experiences, we don't need that, especially talking about dreams here. So it's that part of allowing ourselves to just tell the stories as a story. It almost makes them richer, finer, and timeless.
Cool. Well, okay, let's start this because I'm really excited about understanding how you connect to the dreaming landscapes. It's just, it's fascinating. Yeah, tell
Well,
me.
for me, yeah, it has been after I started channeling. Actually, like I became aware of it. I started feeling how my own awareness was changing. I was perceiving things that they had been usually there, but I was not aware that I was having that type of communication. So what happens with me is I kind of go to bed, but even my daughters, I used to live here with my daughters, and it was when I said good night, it was not like good night. It's like I'm going in another travel tonight. I'm going traveling because that was my sense of going to sleep. It was a new travel, and I didn't know where I was going to end up. So it was almost exciting. I was almost waiting for all the day, so that the time to go to bed came, because I had like amazing experiences, and I'm aware, I fall asleep, kind of, I'm just breathing, and suddenly I just open up and I know that I'm somewhere else, and then I can interact with the other entities and other aspects of myself, things in but I know it's not happening here, but it's so real. And I don't need, as I said, the elements of reality, like a table or a chair to prove it's real, because I'm not asleep. I'm not. I don't go to that phase of falling deeply asleep to then be able to be somewhere else. It's like just go from my waking state. I just relax and I feel some shifts in my head, and then I'm somewhere else, and I can start kind of connecting. And every night it's a different sort of landscape, and there are different guests or invites, or sometimes it's just Isis, saying like, or Merlin or Adamos himself or other friends, just telling me like, we are going to take you to another experience. So I get to a place like it's a common place, like let's call it like the hall, the hall of dreams of my dreams, and then I take different routes every time. And at the beginning it was a little bit challenging because I couldn't remember. So I was trying to think, I was trying to continue to understand until I realized that I was going deeper and there were no thoughts. But what happens is, as I come back to the hole. I don't wake up. I come back to this hole and then I wake up. It's kind of, I have like an intermediate place, like yeah, like a hole. So when I come back, I know I have an idea of what the experience was about, but I'm not thinking about it. So when I wake up, actually, when I do, then I know that I will start remembering what happened. And yes, there are some nights I fall asleep regularly. There are some nights I do have like the typical dreams with other people that the dreams we all know. And but those type of dreams I could never remember. When we started talking about these dreams, you were saying I remember these dreams, and you were able to document them very, very in detail. That type of dreams I don't remember. More now, more now.
Okay, okay. One question. I was going to ask about the mind because the mind, it is a subtle distinction that and it can be confusing for all of us, for many people. That, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not talking to you. I mean, I'm talking to. Come on, like, you're gonna leave your mind behind, and how come you're going on? How are you going to understand what you're seeing? But indeed, it happens like that. It's like you're aware, but your mind is not working. And yeah, I mean, because I have experienced that it's a subtle distinction, but you know when your
You
mind
know,
stopped working. and then the comprehension is much more profound. Like,
Yes, and maybe it doesn't really, I don't know if it stops working, it just surrenders to the experience. It's there, but it surrenders. So there's not this constant chit chat that I need to be listening to or being solving. There's kind of a silence in it, in my mind. One of the things I felt was I was being shown things. I was being taught a lot of things. So all these understandings were coming from there, and I was eventually able to think them, because in our human experience, the mind is important here for this 3D reality. It actually brings a lot of I mean, this is a focused reality, and we need the focus of the mind to a degree. But the allowing myself to bring back the thoughts was one of the first ways I started to learn about my mind, and many things about my mind, because I we started having a different relationship. I didn't have to have the thoughts first to understand something. I was understanding something, and then finally I was able to think about it. So almost when I was able to think about it, it was kind of the final step of it. It's kind of the experience ended when I was able to think what happened, when I was able to tell someone, oh, I got this or I got that. And through the years, I was getting a lot of information. And when I spoke to people, it's like, oh, yeah, but did you read that book? Somebody, I don't know, a reference of a book. And it's like, no, I never read it. I never listened to Cryon. I never read any of Cryon's books. And so all of that information I was bringing back was confirmed when I spoke to other people, and they say, well, we are, it's in this book or in that book that I knew that I had never read. So I started trusting that whatever I was bringing back was actually matching what has been said before, or any kind of guiding perception. And that was a great confirmation.
yeah, okay, okay. So you said, well, you come to this reality because I use a technique that was Tobias, an ascended master, who proposed this technique of, it's almost for me, it's like standing on the gate of the dreaming landscape, just in the middle of the dream and being awake. And then I stop the process of waking up. I was like aware that I was waking up, but I just stopped it to just go back to the dream and see what I was dreaming about, and then bringing back the information. But now with the mind, because now I was like awake enough to be able to translate it as if it was an experience of this reality. Then my mind was completely awake and was discerning of the experience, so I brought it back. So it's completely different to what you do.
Yes, yes. So that's when people ask me, and several conversations we had. Is like, do you dream? Well, I don't know. That's what I like the title you just created here with dream hacking, because I won't describe myself. I didn't think I was dreaming until I realized that, also dreaming is just going to these other dimensions. It was just like I found this way to access my way in and my way out from those other realities in a very smooth way that actually, I did rest.
That was
My
my last
mind,
question exactly. Do you rest? Because
yes, yes. I mean, when I cannot go there, actually, I wouldn't say I sleep well. When I go there, I do, because it's kind of an easy way to just almost close my eyelids in a very soft and very gentle manner, not trying to make myself sleep, and my mind goes quiet. And then I have the experiences. I come back, but it's like it has become more open. It's like I come back, but I don't need to close or open any door. It kind of remains open to a degree, and I can come back and forth. And when I'm in that state, when I get too stressed, my mind jumps in, and then it becomes hard when I try to make it happen. For example, I want to go to bed and I want to sleep and I want to have the experience. No, it doesn't work that way. It only works when I am really knowing that I don't know what I'm gonna get. It's just kind of, I just open and allow myself to flow into that state. but I'm still, for the first part of it, I'm still almost awake. It's just my eyes are closed and my mind goes into a different kind of resonance. So it's not talking, it's not chatting. But I'm almost I don't feel honestly that I fall asleep.
No,
I
no,
certainly
no, no,
do at a
exactly,
point,
exactly.
but I don't feel that I fall asleep. It's kind of I go from being awake, I just go to bed and suddenly I just continue, but I'm in a different space. But that space is not it doesn't make me tired. It doesn't uh on the contrary, it's very nurturing. When for some reason, because well, life is life, I have to wake up like abruptly or whatever, then that day is not such a good day. It's like kind of I left a little bit of myself somewhere else that I couldn't bring back, like my full awareness here. I couldn't bring it back, and then those days I feel kind of partially here. So it has been a wonderful way to learn to balance this perception, and now more and more in this maybe past year, what has happened is that I bring back that feeling, but I also stay open. That other dimension doesn't shut down totally.
But
So
it's
at first it was,
like leaving part of yourself behind.
well, that was one part of that happens when I wake up very abruptly. I
Exactly.
leave a part of myself behind.
Yeah.
So then, I have to go back, kind of pick it up and bring it back, you know? And
Um,
sometimes maybe with a nap, if I can go and really kind of go into a nap, knowing that I want to wake up in full, then I can do it. But, it's part of I cannot say it's something that I do. It happens all the time the same way. No, it doesn't.
yeah.
But
Well,
I've learned my, Mhm.
just to give another tip to our audience, because Adamus recommended in Dream Worlds that when that happened, that you just needed to breathe yourself back. Like that's another way to equalize the your energies there and here, and then you're because he said, well, open yourself and be everywhere. That's
Right.
that's the other thing. Okay, let us do
Yeah, but what is happening now is that the other dimension doesn't leave. I feel it here. And at the beginning, well, it's I through time, I kind of accepted that if I'm crazy, I am. you know, but the truth is that I'm feeling more and more like other dimensions and other iterations of this reality that are happening just here. And I usually don't focus on them, but at least for now, but I am aware. So I am aware that other things in even in this interaction between you and me right now, other things are happening kind of in a different time frame, in a different way, but this is happening
timeline.
in many different. Yeah, so that's uh no, not even a timeline. It's kind of the same timeline, but it's kind of different planes that then compose like the image or a richer feeling and sense of these that we are doing right now. So, for example, I'm connecting with your dreaming landscapes. I'm connecting with, some ideas that you have, some ideas that the people who will listen to this are having because there's no time. So that's kind of, in a way, channeling them, but it's more, I think my channeling and everything has opened up thanks to this way of dreaming.
Okay,
These
we'll be back.
experiences, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I have a lot of questions about the way you dream and how long have you been doing that. Okay, so let's do a quick break, and we'll be back in a minute to continue exploring your way of dreaming. Hello, we are back from our break, and we will continue with this topic that we are calling dream hacking. And the word is beautiful. Okay, I'm going to introduce by mentioning as many of you know, and if not, let us tell you, our alma mater is Crimson Circle and all the work that Saint Germain has done in the voice of this aspect that he calls Adamus. And the only channeler for Adamus Saint Germain is Geoffrey Hoppe of the Crimson Circle. So we've been working with him and Katumi and the beloved Saint Germain and some other characters close to the Crimson Council for many, many years. And I mention this because in these many years, of course, the topic of dreams always comes up in a lot of the materials, free and not free, of workshops and um, pronos that are the trends of the upcoming trends in the planet, or in many, many materials, the topic of dreams always comes up. But there are only two materials in these 20 something years that are specific about dreams. The first one is from Tobias from 2005, and the name is Dreams specifically. And he, okay, I'm going to the detail. The second one was from 2022. That was the Adamson topic that's called Dream Worlds. That is a program that he offered me as an interview. So it's basically his approach to dreams. And but I didn't remember that there is one other material. It's from 2018 that's called I Am Sleeping. And I Am Sleeping is part of a series of Adamus that he created for these are materials you can download, and they're pretty accessible in terms of the cost, and they're for specific topics. And this, as you can imagine, with the name, it's for sleeping. But I was shocked to know that it is precisely what you do. I mean, in my scheme of the dreaming landscapes, you can imagine the dreaming landscapes. They start in the center of the earth, like in the crystal caves, and then you go to the whales, that is the deep seas, and then the shallow seas with the dolphins, and then the ethereal landscapes, the ethereal forest with the trees, and then you. So the dreaming landscapes are conceptualized as these. They come from the center of the earth, and then they go up, 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 up. And then you get to Soul Speak. Soul
Yes.
Speak is the last of the place in the dreaming landscapes where you connect to your soul, and that the view, it's beautiful. But there comes in the dreaming landscapes you cross many territories that didn't exist when we first incarnated on Earth. And that's exactly what speaks about in I Am Sleeping, because sleeping is not the same as dreaming. So, just I'm trying to make a synthesis because everybody should buy this material in the Crimson Circle, because it explains that the path back to ourselves was the sleeping state, not the dreaming state, the sleeping state. And in this sleeping state, you should be aware without your mind. That's exactly what you do now. The thing is, in starting in 2018, Adamus and the Crimson Council, they were trying to create a path back to ourselves and to the compassion of our soul, basically. That if we were there consciously or aware, without, because if you fall asleep, then you are under. If you remain aware, you're above, like you're conscious, you're aware of
Yes.
what's up. And then you bring the energy of compassion that you find when you go that far. But basically, what he says is you cross all the dreaming landscapes in my language, in his language, because Adamus made this analogy about having a building, and the building has 24 floors. And when the planet started, there were not 24 floors. There was one, and then you died, or you you fell asleep, which is mostly the same. Like, and then you were dream, not dream, back in reality, and then you died. Like, oh, well, that was great, and then we came back again. Like, okay, but then it really started complicated. So now we have 24 floors of the building of Adamos. In the dreaming landscapes, there are a lot of landscapes really to get there, and you cross the landscapes of the dead and you cross the landscapes of the crystalline realms of the ideas on whatever. So what he says in I Am Sleeping is don't wander in the dream worlds. Go directly to what I call the soul speak in awareness, because that's the way to connect to compassion, and compassion bring it back and then share it, because you come back with that resonance.
Yeah.
So the thing is that this exercise of being asleep but aware, or it's hard to describe, but it's exactly
Yeah,
what you
it
do.
appears contradictory, but it isn't.
Okay, it's like you don't fall asleep. That's the thing. Like, yes,
Mhm.
it's your night time. It's a time where your body rejuvenates. It is a time where your mind rests. You don't take your mind in this experience, but you are not asleep, and that is a very interesting feeling. So, but what you do is different, because you do explore the dream worlds. Even if you get there, even if you get to soul speak, or if you get to the self, as Adamus explains in our different languages, even if you go there and you get there every night, you explore the dream worlds. You are in the adventure. You are doing something, encountering
Yeah.
something, and attending classes, and giving classes, and whatever you do, because you do all of those things, I'm sure.
Well, the truth is, when I listened to I Am Sleeping the first time I did, I that was my feeling, like, this is what I do.
Hmm.
This is the way I fall asleep, and then I remain aware and I go deeper and deeper and deeper. So yeah, I bring back things, but at first I was not aware what I was bringing back. And we always, I don't know if this happens, but this is something that is important to me. I've learned through time that when we start bringing all these very high energy things back with us, at first they disrupt your life, because our lives here are very stiff and very kind of, based on the old perceptions of many things. So bringing those things back is not something that makes my life better right away. In fact, for a couple of years, not many, but it was challenging to do that. First, because I couldn't read. Second, because I felt disoriented. And I was determined to continue having this experience because this is what I'm here to do, to bring all those informations. Third, by then I didn't know that I was getting something that everybody else, I mean, that was kind of known. For me, I was discovering things. And when I contrasted it with people and we mentioned in conversations, I realized that I was getting that information, but from those spaces, not from the books, not from the other channelers. I was getting that. So that kind of helped me go forth and continue doing it, because it was not a lie. I was bringing understandings that were already there. So the question was like, okay, so what is this all for? I'm learning a lot and I was delighted, but then it started changing. There was a moment where there was not like much more information. It was like, I became used to that space, and I started feeling I could bring things from my experience on earth to that realm, through the same way of bringing things. But it's kind of, I picked something I wanted to bring into that space before I fell asleep. Let's say I have an issue with a friend and I don't find my way through it. So I just allowed myself to know that I was bringing this with me. So I started connecting my realities through that hole, through that portal. So I brought that question with me, not with the solutions, because I knew the mind was going to be disconnected. Of course, there was a while where the mind was taka, taka, because we all, I mean, the mind is the mind. But when I dove into the spaces again, then I could kind of display my situation or whatever I was asking for in these other realms. Really display, feel the people, try different experiences. And it was like, wow. And then I came back, and at first I was doubting again, if whatever I had experienced was real. But when I started talking to people, they were already, I mean, many of the things that were the issue were already solved.
It's like,
It was like,
you remind me,
I
you know what?
like when Adamo says, sorry, tell me.
Like when Minority Report. Remember this movie from
I,
Tom
Tom
Cruise
Tom Cruise.
that
Yeah,
they
I remember,
play
but I
all
don't
the
remember exactly. There was so many movies.
You saw it?
Yeah, I did. I watched it.
Okay, because they display all the information. Like it is like if you go with your question and then you throw it, and then every possible iteration is before you.
Exactly. And I started feeling and understanding perspectives and things that I wasn't having here.
Yeah.
And again, it's I think if I could share something with the audience here is we we don't need to effort in learning these things, but we can allow the human we are to really kind of go back to it. The human template learns through repetition. So if you allow yourself to have this type of experience, and you allow it not as a work, not as something you have to do and repeat because then you're going to get somewhere. No, it's just bring the awareness back, but give yourself the time to bring it. Then you start understanding a lot of things without even thinking. It's like an understanding. It's only something. And I know it sounds like weird, but it isn't, because the main contribution of these awarenesses to myself is peace. When I get something, is I feel this peace deep within, peace
Mm.
in my heart, peace of a truth that is resonating with me, that is going through many many different layers of myself, and I can bring it back. So then it's almost a way to let go of so many of our concerns and worries. It just becomes, because the space, when I remember, I was reading the other day one of those quotes from Tobias and Adam, was like, there are many realities. This is only but one. I remember I used to read that quote and wonder what it meant. I was like, okay, yeah, but there are other realities that are not this reality. So why would I care about those other realities? But now that I have been having this experience for several years, I understand, because all those realities are happening here at the same time, and they fill in the blanks. Things that we are experiencing here sometimes feel like they don't make any sense, or they are disconnected. When you start opening up and bringing that back, those little spaces begin to fill up, and things are connected, but not in a way that we think. You just feel it. You just understand why somebody's doing something. You just understand something, or perceive an opportunity about something that you hadn't been aware before. And I guess this is when I was listening to Dream Worlds, that was my sense. That's a richness, one of the many richness of dreaming. Because I'm hacking my dreams or whatever, this is, it's like being able to really bring those things back, whatever way we develop to do it ourselves. It's connecting those points that are disconnected, that keep us sometimes empty or anxious or worried about things, like, why is this happening? Well, maybe you get an answer, and then I bring something back, and I don't have an explanation of why is this happening, but I'm at peace. It's like,
Um.
it doesn't matter if I don't understand what is happening. I feel good about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you one thing out of many. Um. I. I personally, I do not crave lucid experiences. They're fascinating, but it's not like, because I'm fascinated by the dreams that come naturally to me. It's like whoa, if they came to me, it's my resonance is taking me there. In fact, I have this theory that dreams call you. I,
Yeah.
I just suddenly feel like the dream is happening there, and then I need to fall asleep, and then this heaviness comes to me like, she's I
Oh,
cannot, and then you go because the dream is calling you. Like that's what.
yes, yes, yes.
And recently I learned that you can literally create karma within the dream state because
Oh,
you are
wow.
manipulating the experience within the dream state. Now, the theory
Mm.
says, yeah, of course, because you're lucid dreaming and then you manipulate that, you go and see an uncle, and then whatever happens with the uncle, and then now you have karma multidimensional. Like it's a
Oh,
very
my, no.
it's a very interesting idea. But I'm so I'd rather, and this is the question, I'd rather like say, okay, I want to understand this within my dream state, and then let my consciousness flow to wherever I need to go. So if I'm correct, that's what you do. You do it from the waking state, like, okay, I want to take this piece of information there, and then for it to unfold.
Usually it starts with something I feel in the dreams. So you are right. I mean, it calls you. You connect there with something. But then, as since I go back and forth, and since they are not stories, most times we understand our dreams as stories. Kind of a, even if it doesn't make sense. I was hanging from this, and no, it doesn't matter. I don't bring them back as stories themselves. It's like a feeling, like a knowingness. So when I go back and forth, then I can start connecting some things that I learned there or feel there or understand, for the lack of better words, here, and then I can bring them back. So I start connecting my own dimensions, so to speak. Because but usually the truth is it starts as you say. If there's something that is calling me, I go in a travel that I don't pick. I just go and feel something, and then as I bring it back and forth, then it starts connecting to things, and I can bring the thing that is happening here in 3D back with me to this other realm, and then I can bring whatever happens in the other realm back to 3D.
Because it is as you said. I have written about this before. Like you come back from the dream state, and then you feel that the door to the dreaming landscape remains open. Like
Yes.
there's no barrier anymore.
No, and it's challenging because it makes, there's I I'm choosing lately not to close it intentionally. But sometimes I feel tempted to do it because when it's very big, kind of the opening is very big, I cannot connect and do my daily things like easily, because then I cannot be here. I'm kind of flying around and pretty ungrounded. So it's we can do it, but it I if we learn that if we learn, it's not learning. If we choose to have this type of experiences, if we choose to connect with our dreams, there are some things that we have to allow and learn, and then be able to moderate for ourselves. What feels comfortable, what doesn't, and sometimes you just go for it and you develop your own kind of way of doing it. It's not necessarily a technique. It might be a technique for you, but it might be something that doesn't work for anybody else. But sharing the what we do can allow other people to pick something here, something there, and know that they can start developing or nurture or become aware of the way each of us do it, because we are all related, but we are all unique. So it's kind of, we have similar experience, we all dream, but we are all very unique as well. But we create some templates that other people can use for their own, as their own launching path to dreams, to channeling, to soul, because in the end it's all about communication. So that's what we were talking about when we just started, we were studying We went to college to study communication, and then suddenly this that we are talking about is communication
Yeah,
big time. I mean,
that's exactly that's what I'm fascinated with, like connecting these dimensions. Exactly what you do so easily and in your own way. So
yes, and
yeah, when did you start doing this, and how was it for you? Like all the process.
well, I it was out of curiosity. I was already channeling. I was starting to channel. It was 2011. So all these things happened that year. In 2011, I get this news that you channelizes. And then I attend a Crimson Circle conference where there's this guy called Jim Self, and he's giving a lecture. So in his lecture, I have never been very adept to routines or to rituals or stuff, but this time he was telling something that really got my attention because he had a lot of very interesting information, but he said his own statement for himself was, I'm not a channeler. Whatever I come and say here, I'm saying it myself. And I'm saying this with all the authority because I meet with these other entities in another dimension, and I understand, and what I'm telling you is what I understand. But this that you're hearing is myself, it's Jim. So I was kind of that caught my attention. So he started explaining this process, kind of, okay, so you start breathing in and out, and you create this circular experience of breath, this circular breath where you inhale, you exhale, but almost you can move your arms in circle because then it creates this dynamic, it's a circle. It goes in and out. And then he was saying, okay, so once you do it, you have your eyes open and you're staring at any point, and the third breath you shut your eyes and you just let your eyelids fall, and I was following, and then it's like you go and, well, you feel the center of your head and you find what he described as a pineal gland, and it's like, okay, so then you go and with your imagination you lift it up 2 inches and back 2 inches, and that's it. So the next, when you are willing to wake up, you bring your pineal back the 2 inches, you put it down, and then you start again this process of breathing, and you have your eyes closed and you start doing the circular breathing, and you're kind of awake but not fully awake, and you breathe, and there comes a point where you open your eyes and you can close them again. The second time you open them, hold them longer, and then close them again, and the third time you are ready to keep your eyes open, and then you are back. When I started playing with that because I found it fascinating. It resonated with me, and that's how I started connecting this way. Because when my eyelids just kind of shut down, they I mean I cannot open them back. It's almost like if I were doing something to myself with, and then my brain goes silent and I start having the rest of the experience.
Let me just interject this because it is similar to what the disciples of Don Juan did. Well, of Don Juan and of Carlos Castaneda,
Mhm.
that they call this the assembly point or assemblage point. I don't really know because in Spanish it is punto de encaje. It is where your consciousness meets reality, so to speak. So
Okay. Yes.
they, the theory for them is if you move consciously that assemblage point that is somewhere back there, uh, then
Right.
then your perception of realities is completely different. So now you can perceive completely new worlds because you moved how you perceive. So it's very similar because then you move your pineal gland and then now you're open in a different kind of dimension. So it's fascinating, and they in fact achieve that, giving like they, and in English, how can you say that? That
A slap? How?
a tough slap in your back, like so that was the way that Don Juan
Brought
sometimes,
them back.
yeah, from the back, so that it moved intentionally this assemblage point. So well, just
Wow. No. I mean, this is as fascinating that we have explored so many different things. The point, the thing is, and I think it's truer now than before or ever, is that there are these general parameters, but it's each of us who actually has to choose to really go there, to really dive and do it, and to, as I said, kind of manage your well-being in it. Because otherwise, I sometimes when I feel ungrounded, when I cannot bring myself fully back a day, it's like, oh, I'm that day I don't feel so happy about having these experiences. But other days when I just kind of I feel the click, and it's like, okay, I'm ready for the day. And I don't remember what happened, but through the day I start remembering. And then it becomes part of the joy of the day. So and a point important, it has not made me more powerful, it hasn't made me more, no, I'm just, it
Okay.
has opened awareness, and then life changes just because of that. Life becomes richer and more satisfying just because my awareness is more open.
And because you're more integrated, like your dimensions are within you, not separated spaces of yourself. Okay,
Yes.
we'll be back. We'll make a break and or take a break, and we'll be back to your experiences, to how, or better said, the experiences that you remember along the day. Like, whoa, this
Okay. Yeah.
happened. Whoa, this happened. Okay, we'll be right back.
Okay.
So we're back in this fascinating conversation about hacking with Vili. So you've been doing this like for more than 10 years, like 13 or so.
Yeah, I want to share with you some of the things of the first places I used to visit,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
The ones that I remember. So I went into this process that I'm telling, and then I found myself several times. This didn't happen only once. In kind of a forest, but there was an open space in the forest, and there was a bonfire, and somehow a tent, a camping tent. And the funny thing is, I've never gone camping that way, but it felt very real, and I could feel almost as if I were there, right? I had gone through all the process that I've explained before, so when I kind of started going beyond, I found myself there. And I remember that I started looking up, and there was like this like northern lights, like a portal that was in the sky all the time. So I started, I visited that place often, not every night, but I found myself there until I realized, that's the things that I started coming back. At first it was just a place, but then I came back, and I realized it was kind of a representation of my mind, right? So that northern light was a portal. So what I was doing there is that I started realizing that I could go there, sit down next to the bonfire, and think that I need to do this payment, and the thinking, and I could start feeling how those little thoughts were just like little lights, kind of, that started going up, 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 and crossed the portal. I lost sight of them. And that was one night. And maybe 2 or 3 nights later, I found myself in the same place, and the light started coming back. It was a response, there was a communication. And then I started playing with it, after I realized that whatever I had thought and went up kind of came back. I started playing with it, like kind of having a specific thought, or something that I wanted to allow to go and cross the portal. And then I don't know what happened over there, but it came back with a different perspective, with a different idea, with an additional piece of something. And then, but that was happening in that kind of still dream landscape, as you call them, right? It was this place in the forest. And what started happening is that I could recall the place in my imagination while I was awake. If I there were I started doing it in my waking time. Sometimes I just kind of sat down and start thinking of that or feeling into that, and I could just kind of bring it back, and I was having the same experience that I had over there, and I was having the same sense, but now I was awake. I was sitting here in the my living room, or even having a walk. I didn't have to stay still. I had Now that I'm telling you, I remember the feeling of that space in the forest and that northern light and that portal that was communicating. So that's how one of the an example I can give you that was very real, that I brought back and has stayed with me through time. And I hadn't remembered it for a long time, but now maybe I'll just go there tonight, you know just to sit there next to the bonfire, because it's a great place to be. It's a place where I know I'm being listened to, and I am listening to myself, but it's not it's not an answer, a straight answer to my questions, but there's a knowingness about it that is just there in that space. And then that's mine. It's my
When
kind of dream, but I go back. I was able to bring it back here, the feeling of it.
Okay. No, I was thinking because whenever we connect the dreaming landscapes with the app, so we can
Hmm.
classify where we go at night, maybe I would classify your dream or this experience in particular in the imaginal clouds. There,
Yeah,
those,
probably.
yeah. So well, yeah. So you know the dreaming landscapes. So just as an exercise. Well, not so long ago, let me remind you. You told me, hey, I saw you walking by in my dreaming state, however you call it. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I was already asleep as you sleep, and then I walked by. And it is funny because it happens to me, and it happened to me not so long ago. I saw a friend of mine walking by, like, oh, he's going towards his dream.
Yes.
And just as a funny detail, because it has happened to me, it was quite an understanding of how dreams work. Because it is like sometimes dream people hack your dreams, because it's like you're
Yeah.
dreaming one thing and you're having one experience, and then someone else just like interrupts because this person has something to say to you that is like, no kidding, you're interrupting my dream. I was there doing that, and then you come over and you like come on, like, don't do that. So for me, as an understanding of how dreams work, so it's super interesting because we are connected, and there are these territories in which we are connected, and we can see each other. Like, you literally can come interrupt me in my dreaming experiences. um
Yes. Yes. That's what everybody who has, well, worked in dreams or spoken about this is whether they call it dimensions or dreaming landscape or territories, whatever they are just as real as these. They just have different rules of reality. And once we start getting that, this reality starts getting better. Because right now it's boring, it's repetitive, and it doesn't seem to be able to. It's just kind of right now this reality is kind of the nightmare sometimes. Everything happens the same, and you wake up the next morning and it happens the same. And that would be kind of a definition of a nightmare. It's
yeah,
like you cannot wake so how do you wake up from this dream? Just open up to the others, and then they bring back richness and life and a lot of fresh energies to this dream, which in the end is just another dream. But it's not, this is kind of the dream that we think we cannot wake up from. because this is the real dream. But it start I mean, lately it has become pretty boring, pretty thick. So I guess, it's time to start bringing, to open up and bring whatever each of us want to bring back. I tell this story about this place, like that, but I also have, the evolution of that. And then I was in a crystal, and then I was, in a and I could bring all those feelings back to my waking state, and they started, well, integrating me. I have gone through lots of forgiving and lots, and at the same time, the sense of doing that always made me feel safe. There was something in connecting and allowing those spaces back and forth that developed, I developed a lot of trust in whatever it was, because I
In
had confirmations, because I had these other conversations, and I knew what I was getting was real. But it has helped more than anything in build my trust. I know that I can trust what I feel. I can trust what I dream. I can trust what I perceive.
funny you should mention that feeling of safe, of being safe, because I was in I am sleeping. That's kind of one of the main messages, that what would be the objective to be aware within the dream state and go back to the self. It is not only bringing this resonance of compassion, but also to go to a safe space. Um, because we speak about dreams like very confidently, and I suspect that many people truthfully have problem in their dreams. Like it's like not an adventure, but a matter of concern. Like, where am I going to end up tonight? Like, so, well, let us remind you once again, you are the master of your dreaming domains. And if you know that in your conscious state, then whatever demon or whatever nightmare you happen to encounter in the dreaming landscapes, you will remember that you are the master of that experience and you can change it. So, know that in this reality. But also consider that there are some materials like I am sleeping that will take you to a safe space in dreams. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
well,
just a matter of choice. That's why it's when you choose to you go to bed, you can choose, and you can choose when to come back, and you can choose how to deal with what you are experiencing, because it's just another level. Sometimes you can solve something, like something that is very complicated to solve in this reality. You can work it out there, and then bring back a more simple perspective, a distilled perspective. Or maybe you go there and you experience these very strong emotions, and they can get cleared in these other spaces, even if maybe it's a nightmare or whatever. But if you're clearing an emotion, then when you are back in this one, that emotion recedes a little bit, and it's not so strong, and then it allows you to maneuver through your life in a different way. So it's not, for me, it's not about going out there. For me, it's about connecting, about communicating, about opening those spaces for myself, so that everything feels wider. And it's not that I don't have issues in my life. Of course I do, but the way I can deal with them, sometimes I cannot believe the ideas I have, and I apply them, and they work. So that's trust. It's kind of, oh, I'm gonna do this, or I'm not gonna do anything. So often it's like, do nothing, do nothing. And whatever the sense is that comes back with it. So dreams can be just the expansion we need to start finding the freedom in this reality, and finally also start removing the fixed perception that things are the way they are, and that this is the only real thing.
exactly. That is one of the main objectives. Well, at least of the project of A Thousand Dreams, is to remind you that you can change your reality by using your night dreams. Using maybe is not the best word, but you get the drift. Like, you can connect to your dreaming landscapes to bring better potentials, and then change a reality that may seem fixed, that may seem like a destined reality or a fate. uh,
Impassable. Something that, yeah.
that you can change it and you can create a better world. Of course, it is a process. We open up to dreams, but if anything, it's just because it's so much fun. So, Billy, do you have any final message for our audience that will be connecting in the future?
Just a little bit on one thing. And I don't know the name you gave for the dreaming landscape I was in, but imagination is one of the most important assets I've had to do this. If Because if I hadn't trust my imagination and opened it, if I would have wanted to think about it, if I would have shut it down. So imagination has been that inner way to find my own transition to all these other realms and back has been through imagination. And that's a complicated word sometimes because imagination and it appears sometimes to be something that is fake, and that, I guess, it's one of the limits for dreaming.
Or
you
very
know
mental?
once you, yeah, once you open up and perceive other things and they are in imagination, it's like, no, this is not real. No, if I had to say something, is whatever your imagination shows you is
Billy
in
said
the realm.
something similar.
In the realm you are perceiving it. But imagination is a great tool to transit to the other realms. It's kind of, if I was thinking my hall, this hall that I was saying, I come in, I step into this nice hall.
Yes, yes, yes.
uh that is imagination. It's kind of a my in between point. Imagination.
Great advice. Okay, and it's not mental. It's something
No,
else.
no, imagination is not mental, but it's pretty close to the mind.
It's
So the
it's
mind is, yeah, the mind does, I mean, it does not trust imagination, but it's not so foreign. So there's kind of a relationship in which the mind accepts some of the things that come through imagination.
okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you need to let the experience unfold.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that phrase doesn't only apply with imagination or daydreaming. It also applies in this reality. It's like the way of creation, but we don't know that the creation works like that. So, well, that would be a topic for another time. So, okay, we are gonna keep it short. Of course, I think we could continue speaking like for the next year, but and also about very specific dreaming adventures and experiences. Um, but yeah, we're gonna leave it here. Billy, thank you very much for making the space to be in this program, and that we are beginning with this concept to share um, our perspective on dreams, and yours is fantastic.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you so much. I'm so honored to be part of this, and really looking forward to listen what other people experience, because they might, whatever they say might just feel a little piece that I didn't get before.
no,
It's
and
it's
I'm
it's
amazed
sharing.
because
Yeah.
I have more contact now with people that dream in very different ways. It's like mind blowing. Like you wouldn't believe how we all find different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make some categories and try to put it together and make some coherent scheme about how it works. But the thing is that we can create it the way we want. So, yep. Okay, so dreamers of this world. So, if you want to participate in this project in 1,000 dreams, just give us a call. The email is down there, or at some in some part of this presentation.
Reality lens.
Exactly. If you want to have fun, do the Dreamer quiz. That's fun. If you want to find out more about the project, you can go to 1000dreams.world. We will be doing some adjustments in the website, so that it's easier to understand. Uh, and yep, if you want to be an investor or a contributor to the concept, or anything else, or just you want to participate, oh, don't forget to whatever, like, share, comment, or whatever. And the feedback helps a lot. That would be very appreciated, your feedback. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, everybody, take care. Enjoy.